Welcome to our CS for All Teachers multimedia presentation on coding projects for elementary students. In this presentation, you will learn how ScratchJr can be used to create a picture passion coding project for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. My name is Michelle Swenson, and I am a Community Ambassador for CS for All Teachers. I am also a former classroom educator and currently supporting elementary teachers in CS education and EdTech integration in LOESD as an instructional technology facilitator. In this presentation, I will share how you can implement this 2-day project in your classroom so students can create coding projects that are meaningful to them. Before we begin learning how to implement this project, let's become a bit more familiar with ScratchJr. ScratchJr is a block-based programming language that enables students starting from age 5 to code. It is a free app that is available on multiple types of devices and used offline. Why begin teaching coding at such an early age? ScratchJr states that coding or computer programming is a new type of literacy. Just as writing helps you organize your thinking and express your ideas, the same is true for coding. But we think coding should be for everyone, just like writing. ScratchJr was a collaborative effort between the organization and people listed on this slide. Mitch Resnick and the MIT Media Lab are also the creators of Scratch. Now that we have the grounding information on ScratchJr, let's get started on how you can teach this project in your classroom. For this project, students will use ScratchJr coding to share a hobby, activity, or a cause they care about. The project will take approximately 2 days. Each day's lesson should be about 30 to 40 minutes. The first day is an introductory lesson to have students learn about the basics of ScratchJr. The second day is when they will start creating their picture passion project about their hobby, activity, or cause that they enjoy or care about. Before you start the project with your students, make sure that they have the ScratchJr app downloaded on their device. The following slides are the teaching slides that you can use with your students. It includes the inclusion activity, direct instruction, and ends with time for students to explore and apply their new knowledge of ScratchJr coding. The lesson will start with an inclusion activity and then move on to direct instruction on how to use ScratchJr and end with time for students to explore and apply their learning of ScratchJr. In this activity, students can engage in it via a Zoom poll or by assigning a number for each option, and students can show their choice with their fingers. The purpose of this inclusion activity is to gauge where your students are at in terms of having a growth mindset. This is a video about having a growth mindset. Please share with students that it's okay to make mistakes when you are learning to code. We want students to have fun and, most importantly, not give up. The next set of slides will be on direct instruction and how to use ScratchJr features and coding blocks. This is an optional video tutorial with no audio on how to use coding blocks that you may share with your students. You will be walking through the next several steps in slides 15 through 21 to show how ScratchJr can be used to create their first project. The directions are on the slides for you to explain and have students follow along as you describe each step. In this part of the lesson, students will have time to explore and apply their knowledge learned in the direct instruction to create their first ScratchJr project. Students will have about 10 minutes of free exploration to create their first ScratchJr project. In day 2 of the project, they will need to apply what was learned in day 1 for their Pitch Your Passion ScratchJr project. On day 2, they will start again with an inclusion activity, then move on to direct instruction for their Pitch Your Passion project. In this time, they will begin learning about the project criterion rubric, and then will be given time to actually plan for their project using a template provided. And finally, they will be able to share their projects using a protocol called Glows and Grows. This inclusion activity can be held in Zoom breakout rooms, or it can be a whole class discussion. The purpose of this inclusion activity is for your students to start thinking about what the topic will be for their Pitch Your Passion project. You will explain the criteria and rubric of the project. These are the basic requirements, but students will have an option to extend their project with some choice board options, including sound blocks and broadcast blocks. This is a rubric you will share with your students. This is an example of what the project can look like that you may want to share with your students if you feel that it is needed. In this part of the lesson, students will be given time to brainstorm and plan their project before students begin by going to the ScratchJr app to code. This is a planning document for students to fill out as a class or individually to plan out what their project will look like. You should model how to make a copy of the document and show how to complete the planning document. When students are done with their planning document, have them go to their ScratchJr app and begin coding their project by using what they brainstormed as a guidance when they begin coding their project. They should have at least 20 minutes to create their projects. For students who are done with the basic requirements, have them try out the choice board options. Here are some extension ideas for their project. Option 1 is adding speech. Option 2 is creating their own background. When students are ready to share, have them use this protocol to share and provide feedback with their peers about the project. Select one student to volunteer and have their classmates share one glow. The next round is for students to share one grow. At the end, you can have the person sharing end the protocol by adding a last comment about their project. Repeat the process by having another student share their picture passion project. The following slides are additional resources. Our first resource is a teacher copy of the lessons that we just went through. All you need to do is go to the bit.ly provided on this slide and we'll have the actual resources linked to this presentation. You just need to click on Make a Copy, and in that way you'll have your own copy that you can modify and adjust for your students. The next resource are some coding cards for the sound block and the broadcast block. These cards can be used to support your students in giving them step-by-step directions on how to use those blocks. If you would like to further your teaching with ScratchJr, there is a site called ScratchJr.org where there are several activities that you can actually implement right away with your students. Thank you for listening to this multimedia presentation from CS for All Teachers. If you're not already a member of CS for All Teachers, membership is free and some of the benefits include connecting with other CS teachers, free webinars, and access to free resources such as this multimedia presentation. Connect with us via Twitter and check out our website, csforallteachers.org. Thank you.